go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It's Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Friday, October 13th, Friday the 13th, 2023. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, the stock market, Bitcoin, gold, silver, DXY, any type of financial news that's going on as the stock market kicks off its opening right now to get the last trading day of the week in the books for the U.S. stock market. Of course, crypto is 24/7 and runs through the weekends, but hey, this will be the last day for the trading week for the U.S. stock market. So welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. Congratulations. We've made it to the end. When I woke my daughter up today, I did say, wake up. It's Friday, like I told you yesterday. So we'll see. I'm nervous of the Monday one, though. Hey, wake up. There's still 5 days to the weekend. But all right, here we go. Let's go ahead and jump right on into what's going on in crypto today and in markets today. So probably be a pretty brief Markets in the Morning because we don't have a whole lot changing going on. And the cold hard reality is we are at over 200 days of ranging for Bitcoin. Everybody is beat down. We need to see some price action emerge in here, and we're just creeping on along. So let's go ahead and dive on into the markets. Bitcoin sits at about 26,900, depending on what the exchange you're looking at. There you go on Bitstamp, 26,886. We'll take a peek or look over this. Obviously, we've watched this thing and how, like, we can put this on like super tiny time frames. The insanity of breakouts that have emerged in here for price action to move here for Bitcoin. Of course, we've been talking about this for the last several weeks, but really more even these last couple of weeks to show the absolute ludicrousness of within just a couple of hours of themselves from 2015 and 16 and 14 compared to current times right now, how the price has behaved really just absolutely perfectly on time in here. Of course, we're all staring at it right now saying, well, are you going to do it again currently? Because we're at the point where we should be getting to move. Still all waiting for Bitcoin to do it, and for the powers that be to insert some type of news catalyst, probably likely required because this thing just doesn't want to do anything yet. As for XRP, still sitting there at 48 cents. Nothing big changing over there. I don't think we need to hit this thing anymore. Of course, comparing 2015, 2019, and 2023 together. Bitcoin dominance still just creeping on along. Nothing to say in here. The safety trade of everything happening in here. You got the exact same thing going on. Currently, right now, not a whole lot of change. This was the expectation that this would actually last for a couple of months going on in here. Still probably expect there's probably another month in there until this thing can get itself on its way. As for the stock market, though, stock market had a wild day yesterday. Volatility and downward action. I cannot for the life of me remember what it was like when the market opened yesterday. If we were up or down, I think we ended up moving up. It was in positive territory at one point yesterday morning. Then totally U-turned, and like the Dow was down like 300 points and then closed to down 175. Now it has recouped yesterday's crazy price action that happened in there as we kicked the day off this morning. You got the Dow Jones up 191 points. You got the NASDAQ up 26 points, and you got the S&P up 18. So 0.59% for the Dow, 0.16% for the NASDAQ, 0.43% for the S&P. Leader this morning, United Health. And Caterpillar and Google. Losers so far, Coinbase, Netflix, and ARK. So, all right, U.S. dollar currency index, again, it paused out there. Was that a week ago? Yeah, I guess it was early last week, hitting that 50% retracement level of the entire move down. It has stalled since then. We saw it set a lower low. We even talked about this earlier this week. Just because you hit the lower low, that just means it's your first lower low. Now we need to see if we're going to get a lower high come here for the DXY. Interestingly enough, though, there has been dramatic movement over here in metals this morning. We actually do see that gold is up $40 this morning, and silver is up 65 cents this morning. So gold is up to 1909, and then you go silver, you got about 2250 happening over here. So pretty big moves. Remember, just a week ago, silver was down below 21, down to 2070. And now right back up to 2247 currently as this day gets kicked off. So we'll see if there's a little bit of resistance that's going to show up right here. I would suspect there would. I would actually be more surprised to see it shoot up from here right now. But we'll keep our eyes on it, of course, next week. And gold obviously rampaging its way up to 41 bucks in one day. That's a pretty dramatic move for gold in one single day. As for Fed rate hikes, everything going on out there in the markets right now, 92% chance that the Fed is going to still continue to be paused on its interest rate hikes when it comes to November 1st. Lots of mixed messaging coming out there from the Fed this past week. And we haven't really talked too much about it because we don't really talk much about when speakers speak because they're just kind of jarring from their mouth. One will say something, another will say something, and then it's like they're trying to control markets with it, but I don't know. It's usually just a tremendous amount of noise. The only thing that does matter is, when we actually get here, November 1st, and, what is the forward guidance moving from there? Because we always see that the volatility really happens right there during Fed week. So again, when we get there to November, right, November 1st is going to be on a Wednesday. So Halloween, the 31st, which is a Tuesday, we'll probably see a lot of volatility. We'll see a lot of volatility there on that Wednesday, November 1st, and then volatility then again on that November 2nd. So on Thursday, and that's really the thing that matters. But these Fed speakers have been saying, hey, we probably are good on our rate hikes, and that we probably are done. None of that really matters until we get here and we hear it out of Jerome Powell's mouth. As for overnight repos, still these things continue to drain like crazy. We're all the way down to $1.157 trillion. This thing got as high as 2.5 in the peak of chaos in there, but crypto just won't catch a bid. Like we've shown this in here. Let's do this. We'll add it. On the daily. There it goes. We've shown this. I'll take these. I'll hide those. There we go. When the reverse repo kicked off, that did mark peak of Bitcoin and crypto happening in there. And then as the peak happened, our bottom came in and shoot our way up. But we are just stalled out in here waiting for that next leg to finally kick its way off. So waiting and waiting and waiting. And I get it. Everybody's just bored and beat up after 200. I was going through this today. So I started making YouTube videos. Let me take the reverse repo off. I started making YouTube videos back in here. So I've been through this before where we have to go through long periods of boring price action for a long time and still creating YouTube content during that time. And, in the years you mature, you kind of like, there's not really something, there's just not a video to make today. Fortunately, we're doing markets in the morning, right? But then there's not something to say when you are just range bound and stuck in the range for a very long time. But I was going through this, and I've mentioned to you guys before, it's not my first rodeo to go through ranges, right? I've been through many ranges. I know what it's like when we just get stuck for a prolonged period of time. This one right here, this is from April 29th through July 20th. So April, May, June, July. This is 3 months of a range. We finally get a break, and then what do? We then spend another, July all the way to October. So then spend another 3 months, right? So imagine, right, 3 months of range, 2 days of candles, and then 3 more months of range. That's strung together. That's quite a long time. But, you did at least leave the range with this right in here. Going through here and looking at this, even for me, this is now the longest range I've been in crypto. This one right in here, now that we're going on 207 something days. So no question, people are beat up and tired of sitting down in here because even through all of this, we could count this as a range, but I would say this is just a tighter range. To be in this tight of a range for this long, this is definitely the tightest, longest range, even for me. So if you're curious about that, I don't know. I observed that this morning. I was like, is this the longest one that I've gone through? And it is. So there you have it. As for the range, right? So things that we've been looking at, we've been observing the timing of how the price behavior has been to 2015 and 16, which of course is why I'm so critical on there's just no way this thing is 2019 to 2020, right? Either this is doomtown because the stock market bubble has popped, or you have something at least mimicking 2015 to 2016 up until this point. In no way, absolutely no way, are you 2019 to 2020. Literally nothing. But what we have observed in here is the timing of every peak that has happened in here. I think this one we have 4 days between these peaks. You have 4 days between these peaks, but then things start getting ridiculously interesting in here, where these are like within hours of each other, that these peaks end up showing up, and then these breakouts that end up happening in here end up being within hours of breaking out from the ranges as well, to then move on to the new trading range. And so here we are, we're finally here, we're all waiting, biting our fingernails. Are we going to shift up in the range at the same time? And that question still lingers and looms on whether or not that will be it. Can we finally leave this range? This has been the longest range ever. Can we finally leave? No answers have emerged in here just yet. So I was looking at, price action, like essentially, like if you're going to do this, right, when these peaks are coming in, you essentially would have to peak here by November 2nd. November 2nd, that's interesting, right? That's the day after the Fed meeting that we were just talking about, right? Can you even move at that velocity? I mean, that is a fast velocity to shift at, especially even being from right here. Can you go peak before you get there in that short of amount of time? Is it unrealistic for Bitcoin to move at that velocity? And so I just decided, hey, let's just kind of look at how price has moved here in 2023 so far and in 2022. And I remember when FTX liquidated, what happened? Everybody's screaming for 12K. Everybody say, we're going to Doomtown, we're going to Goblin Town, right? It's been the same story here, right? We've had the same thing happening where everybody's screaming. Everybody's a generalization, right? We know that's not true. But a large, loud, emotional group has screamed for 12K. And the price action of what we've really just kind of experienced ever since we've seen that liquidation happen in there. And even if you delayed yourself even a little bit, would you be able to still shift your way up and catch up at that velocity? And it does seem like price action behavior in 2023 would corroborate that you could move at that velocity. One thing to keep in mind, though, right, is just because this goes this high, we haven't seen the price action act like, hey, we move exactly same percentages. We're never making that statement in here. That observation is there that you're moving the same percentages or you're moving to the same price zones or same price levels. A real big area of interest to pay attention to is this one right here. There's one at about 40. So anywhere from 38 to 40 right in here is a very big area to pay attention to, because we've seen other assets struggle to get at this level, and it's very common to get to that level and struggle right there where this breakdown happens. For some reason, that loves to be the area of pain or of struggle, at least. So we do so happen to get in there moving at that same, not that this would come next, but you could get there and peak there and somehow, some way end there at about 40K, right? And that's why one of those numbers were always used there in those polls that were done. What comes next, 40K or 12K? That's because 40K, this is a very obvious resistance level happening in here. And the question is, which one do you get to first, right? And I still believe that is the area to go for, and then watching out significantly what will happen after that. Again, you go breaking 24.7, all bets are off, right? That will be a deviation from anything that has ever happened for Bitcoin before. And then suddenly, boom, like magic, Bitcoin looks just like 2018 Ethereum, the thing we have talked about for years. You break that level, you break 24.7, you've got it. You've got the same behavior happening for Bitcoin. So when this range does eventually come to a conclusion, we'll have a little, we're either going to be Bitcoin's dead, dead, stock market crash, or the fantasy and the fun lives on. And can Bitcoin continue its 2016 journey? And up until this point, it has. But obviously, you're getting into the kind of the momentum area where it needs to decide. And still, by the end, it looks like it would need to do it by the end of this month if it's going to maintain any of the same type of velocities. Otherwise, if we get to the end of the month and Bitcoin hasn't moved up, I don't think you can point to this thing anymore. You could say, yeah, it was perfect. Like, it was exactly perfect and it was scary perfect. But then remember BCB, it's all your fault because you posted about it on Twitter, and then CZ Binance saw it, and then they changed all their algorithms. And, yeah. People say that all the time. Do you ever think that you have an influence on what happens with the markets? No, I don't think so. There's accounts bigger than me. And they're all screaming Doomtown. So, all right. We'll see if that thing can come to a conclusion throughout the weekend. I know a lot of people like to kind of focus on those solar or lunar eclipses that end up happening. So we do have one happening, I believe it's tomorrow. I believe there's an eclipse tomorrow. Let's see if they can hit it again. So we'll see if we can get some price action to come out of the market tomorrow. I'm not a believer in those things, but hey, they've had their little fun in 2022. So let's see if it continues into 2023. Time says, I mean, we are at a point where you could move. So 200 plus days in a range of consolidation, we're at a place where we could move. So hopefully throughout the weekend. Otherwise, back to looking around. XRP just staying still. Bitcoin, you got some green in there this morning. You got some green in the altcoin market today. And then the stock market looks like it even had a bigger pop, and we missed it here. Look at that thing. Dow Jones up 262 points, up 0.77%. The S&P is up 0.51%, and the Nasdaq's up 0.15%. Look at that. Your leaders. Who's the leader? United Health, the biggest one of the Dow Jones, right? And Caterpillar in the Dow Jones as well. Then you got Google and Microsoft, and then down at the bottom of the list, you got Coinbase, Netflix, and NVIDIA. But it looks like we're off to a good start today. This weekend, I will be writing a newsletter. I put out 2 per month. I put one out at about the middle of the month and one at the end of the month. And this month, we're going to be diving deep into not only just correlation between the stock market and the cryptocurrency market, but also the tech market, big tech, and the correlation between action that happens in big tech versus crypto. And so that'll be an interesting case to dive into, to study the breakouts and the correlations between those two sectors and see if it's all the same big trade. And if it is there somewhere we can look in that particular sector to give us a clue for crypto? Maybe there is. We'll find out. All right. But there you go, guys. One more look over there. DXY, it's even today, right? Yesterday's move, it's sitting at negative 0.014, which is 0.01% of a move. Silver and gold are having the bigger moves today. Gold is up $42. Silver is up 70 cents this morning. Mixed over here in the stock market, even though indexes are all green. So something's going on out there. And there must be one particular sector that's crushing it this morning. It must be like banking or something. Let me check my other screen. I have a couple in a different area. I've got some banks. Yeah, it's a totally different picture over here. Yeah, so banking is killing it today. JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citi, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, they're all up today, and they're up big. JP Morgan's up 4%, Wells Fargo's up 4%, Citi's up 4%, Bank of America is up 1.5%, Goldman Sachs 1.5%, BlackRock 1%. So that is the thing driving those indexes today, is banks. All right, so let's go through it one more time. All right, there you go. Bitcoin, waiting to see if we can get some action to come out of there over the weekend. Bitcoin sitting at 26,855. Bitcoin dominance still creeping along. Dow Jones, 33,906, up 276 points today. S&P up 22 points, NASDAQ up 24. Banks driving most of the action happening over there in the stock market today. DXY sitting flat for the morning, down 0.03%, a negligible amount. Silver and gold are having the big days today too, so big moves there for silver and gold. Fed expectations still on a pause, 92%. That is pretty high. We've gotten through CPI already now, so this seems like we talked about earlier this week. Once we get through CPI, PPI, when that number comes out, it gives us a pretty good clue. I don't know what in order for this number to change, the only thing I could think of that would happen would be a face melting stock market. Which, okay, fine. I'll take a rate hike in exchange for a face melting stock market any day of the week. But otherwise, this is likely the case, is that we're not going to see a rate hike come in now that we've gotten through that data. Still 3 weeks away before we end up getting that, 2.5 weeks, but it seems to be the probability. Reverse repo still continues to drain, but let's go ahead and dive into what's going on over there in financial news this morning. JP Morgan Chase tops profit expectations as bank benefits from higher rates and benign credit. Citigroup stock jumps on better than expected revenue for the third quarter. Wells Fargo shares rise after third quarter results top Wall Street expectations. There you go, banks. Treasuries and oil jump on Israel-Hamas conflict. Okay. We're not. Okay. No, they're not. Kaiser healthcare workers say they reached agreement with employer. Scalise ends House Speaker bid, deepening Republican turmoil. Energy mogul boosts shale bet as Argentina's renewable push stalls. Israel latest. JP Morgan notches another net interest income record and lifts guidance. Moving over to crypto news. Of course, we still have this nasty dark cloud of SBF trial still hanging over us. Of course, we cover it. They cover it the most for the clicks, but in the end, this is bad for our industry to even have this thing discussed and being front and center. Fortunately, it's not on like the front page of financial media. They don't really seem to care of covering this thing, but obviously in crypto media, it's the thing that's going to get the most clicks, and it's going to be front page every day. Mark Cohen bumbled at times, asking Carolyn Ellison to repeat much of the same information she told prosecutors in testimony the day before. Bitcoin is currently neither bullish or bearish, traders say. Ooh. It's what we call ranging. Range. Onward forever. You're never going to wake up, guys. This is now your permanent life. You will be here forever. I'm just kidding. It will break. They always do. Things will change. This is a moment in time, and it will be behind us at one day. One day. Where was I? Here's where I was. DeFi is losing the race to become the future of finance. Carolyn Ellison's secret recordings offer trove of explosive revelations. What happens if the SEC doesn't appeal Grayscale spot Bitcoin ETF ruling? So I guess that they've got to appeal it at some point today. You know how they work, man. They wait to the very last second before they do stuff. I don't know if the market cares about it truly or not. I don't know if the market has priced in that they will appeal it, or if the market has priced in that they won't appeal it. I don't know, but I guess there has to be an answer from the SEC in regards to Grayscale today. So keep your eyes out for that. There probably will be some headlines regarding that. And if you see any price movements happen immediately, that may be the catalyst the market makers are waiting for to execute their plan. Did SBF really use FTX traders Bitcoin to keep Bitcoin price under 20K? NFTs are dead. NFTs aren't dead. They're just resting. Reminds me of there's a video I always love, but I don't like to talk about it on here because I keep everything very PG on the YouTube channel. I have had a couple of slip ups here. Markets in the morning because it's live, but otherwise I try to keep things very PG here on the channel because kids like to watch, man. But there's this one. It's like, no, it's just bullish selling, or the whales are just accumulating. NFTs aren't dead. They're just resting. Nah, but for real, yeah. NFTs are going through their true bear market. I think I saw something last week. They're down like 95%. I mean, that's what we saw in 2018 with the crypto market. Bitcoin was down 85% in 2018, and the altcoin market was down like 95% in 2018. I always see people post over there on Twitter, this is the worst bear we've ever seen ever. And I'm just like, no, it's not, man. No, it's not. XRP went down 96%. Like, I think we did the math on that currently. That'd be like XRP being 6 cents right now, today. 6 cents currently right now. That's what 2018 was like. Ethereum went down 95% or something, 94%. It went from $1,400 to $80. What would that be for Ethereum if it fell like that? Pulling it up on my other screen to get you a quick number. Yeah, Ethereum went down 94.5% in 2018. An equivalent price today would be at $268 Ethereum. That's what 2018 was like. So for those who are kind of going through this rodeo for the first time, your class of 2018, they've seen things that they don't want to talk about. So, all right, there we go. SBF is just pretty much the headline everywhere over here and stuff. So anyway, what's going on in markets today? You got the banking sector crushing it. You got the Fed expectation to pause there later at the beginning of month, November 1st. We got Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market just kind of stalling. I mean, we do have some green over here in the market today, but it's minuscule, right? It's nothing too huge happening over here in the markets today. Otherwise, it's green, right? I think after a couple of days of big pull downs, the market will take it. It was funny, we showed that. Oh, there it is, still there. We showed that yesterday. You come back and slap that thing, and it's not like that really gives you any type of here's what's coming next. But it has been interesting to observe Bitcoin's behavior on this ride up in regards to how it has reacted and these downward trends that it's been in, how it continuously kind of slaps back to hit these things multiple times, right? So we've seen this happen before. So we'll see. Otherwise, just come on, let's get out of here. Quit playing games. But all right, that's going to be it for today in regards to what's going on with news. The banks are doing good. Silver's up. Gold's up. Big moves over there in gold and silver. $41 for gold, 68 cents for silver. DXY slipping a little bit more, now down 0.04%, but the Dow Jones is up 245 points. It's a bigger mover of the day. And then with the S&P up 22 points, which is almost a little bit over 0.5%. NASDAQ up only 0.23%. A lot of the stuff is like tech stocks that we have in here. We can see that. But United Health is part of the Dow, and it's the biggest component of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and it's up 3%. But you also have other parts of the Dow in regards to those banking sectors that are doing really well today, driving that market up. So, all right, let's go ahead and hop into the chat and then get ready for the weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully I don't miss anybody. Oscar Hernandez gifted 5 BCB memberships. It is amazing when you look at the chat how much green names there are all the time. Thank you, Oscar. Mr. Q, BCB video. Not today, man. Unfortunately not. So you guys know how I was sick over the weekend, right? I was sick. My wife was sick. My son was sick. We made it through the clear, but my daughter never got it. Yesterday, she gets home from school. Dad, I don't feel good. Like, oh no. We're talking like we were practically recovered by Monday afternoon. By Tuesday, we were all good. And then my daughter just never got to Yesterday, Thursday, she comes home from school, not feeling good. And then, what do you know? 101.7 fever this morning. So my kid is home. CB, member for 5 months. Thank you, Oscar Hernandez, and the entire 702 crew. Saints, I tell you. Thank you, CB. Ben, hey, which money market are you in? Just curious. I don't even know. I don't have like my personal money in money markets. I do treasuries for my personal stuff, but we do have college funds, and that is it's technically like in my wife's name, and it's through a family financial advisor that they have. So I really don't know which ones their college funds are in. Those are the only money markets we're in, is with the kids' college funds. Thank you, Ben. Oscar Hernandez, listen to Eric Martinson. Hit that like button for the greatest and free support to the channel. Yes, thank you for reminding me, guys. If you could, please hit the like button. It's the #1 way to support me and keep the BCB train going. Carlos de Perez. Carlos de Paz. First timer. No message. I bet you'll get it through on the next one. I already see him down the list there. I'll go ahead and do that one. Said, I'd like to ask you to consider making a video like you did for the course XRP, not showing what to do, but merely the data regarding the Dow Jones bubble that can be pointed to. Like you did for the court regarding XRP, not showing what to do, but merely the data regarding the Dow Jones bubble that can be pointed to. I'd like to ask you to consider making a video like you did for the court regarding XRP, not showing what to do, but merely the data regarding the Dow Jones bubble that can be pointed to. I'm not sure I follow exactly which one you're talking about, like you did for the court. What video did I do of XRP for the court? Does anybody know? Oh, the course. Merely the data, but merely the data that can be, but doing one for the Dow Jones? Like even me personally, right? So let's pretend I'm some major stock market investor, right? And it's where I keep most of my money. I just put in equities and I do all that stuff right now, right? I'm not telling any of you what to do, right? I'm just telling you my thought process, right? On how my mind goes down. All this terrifies me. And, you know, the problem is there's people who definitely risk their whole life savings to chase the last couple of percent all the time, right? If you've been in it your whole life, if you've run this thing up 450%, you're like, I gotta get the last 12%. Personal choice, man. Personal choice. But you know how high it is. The amazing thing about stocks is like, right, you go into it with like, especially with a retirement account or 401k, and your expectation of profit is like 6 to 8% annually, right? But you know, money markets are going to pay at least like 4.5 right now with no risk, and the same for treasuries. You're going to pay 5.25 with no risk. So it's almost just like the, you know, reducing risk but still getting the same expectation returns. Which is pretty amazing. But yeah, no, I mean, you got it. Like, I don't need to say anything about the Dow. You get it. I have nothing. I mean, I got maybe 2% of my net worth in the stock market. There's not a chance in heck. I'm gonna enter into this thing thinking it's going full blown moon crazy, right? If it even does go full-blown moon crazy, crypto would be the thing that would probably benefit the most from it. Crypto would probably go bonkers. All that stuff we've looked over there on Ethereum, it would probably be Ethereum starting a whole new super cycle it would probably be complete insanity happening in crypto if the stock market goes raging significantly higher. But you see how high it is, like, and then like you can just look at monthly indicators too, like let's go to annual. Look at the massive bearish divergence that's happened in here from peak to peak to peak to peak to peak. We can go to bigger time frames, go to like 3 months. You can see the bearish divergences on the 3 months that have been happening in here. Go to 6 months. Notice how the stochastic RSI is just rolling off of a cliff here, and how high the MACD is, like, right? And by the time these things end up crossing themselves, trouble has been brewing. And of course, we can see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves that have happened in here, and now it's falling way down, right? So you notice the parabolic climb. Now it's breaking down in here. Let's move to annual. Right. So the last time, right, we went for long parabolic. You could see the growth happening in here. And then finally we pause, right? And then what happens? We enter like a lost decade practically happening in the stock market. This is also where the .com bubble pops, right? So where the NASDAQ goes kerplunk on itself big time. You could see the stochastic starts to fall off on the annual, right? Stochastic falls off. You can see we're starting to get those prints happening in here. Years of climbing. Suddenly we're starting to turn over annually. Of course, you're oversold. Not only are you oversold, you're overbought, and you're overbought with a bearish divergence that has happened in here. Let's see if we can we go even bigger? Let's try. Well, let me do 24 months. Wouldn't that be cool? No, it won't let me do 24 months. I can't go bigger than yearly candles. But you know where we're at. Let's take a look at this. No, we can't go. We can't go prior to the Great Depression, huh? La bubble. So we'll see, right? Again, I know nothing. All I can do is point to what I see, and then sometimes it pans out. Right? These are historical reactionary levels, right? You saw it happen with crypto. You saw it happen with Bitcoin. You saw it happen with Ethereum. And that's not the first time we saw it. We saw all those same things happen back in 2018 for Ethereum as well. That these levels are dangerous when we get up here for like the stock market index. Hopefully, there can still be some little magical push to give it a little bit more room to grow. But, you know, to each their own, right? That we are trained as a society, You just keep buying it. That's because we look at only our lifetimes and say that. But things that, you know, are different, right? What are some things that are different? There's 30-year bond. Okay. This dates back to the 80s. That's probably how old the average viewer of this channel is, 34, 35. Right? So your entire life has never experienced this. We go like different time frames. There's the quarterly candles. It's never happened in your whole life. There we go. There's monthly. Right? Quarterly. How about annually, just for fun? Hey, maybe we got something going on annually. Wouldn't that be it? The Fed's like, oh, we have finally reached the 100-year moving average. We're going to go ahead and chill. But yeah, right. I mean, this is something most of us haven't experienced in our lives, right? Right. This has just been downtrending since 1981. This is a 42-year downtrend that has happened here in like the 10-year yield, and just a massive rally happening in there. So, are things different fundamentally under the hood in regards to where people can put their money to earn yield? Seems like it. Seems like it. So, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. XRP Revolution says, so when it's all said and done, are you going to write a book? The title should be Blockchain Backer 702. Yeah, I'd love to one day. And I think the newsletter is kind of helping me practice writing again, being out of the game for so long for writing, kind of rebuilding that skill set. But yeah, it would just depend on, I would just want it to be about whatever I want it to be about, right? Like, I don't think really a book about just charts and here's historical behavior of markets. But maybe just more about the journey, right? I've been talking about this for about a year or two, but no, I haven't even started it yet. Just the journey of getting here. My story is nowhere near like John Deaton's story. That story is nuts. I mean, there's all the hardships in mine, but some of the stuff that he has gone through is legit very serious trauma. And while I've had stuff where like my dad was not around and I was raised by a single mom most of my life, mine is not the trauma of what John has experienced. But there's everything in there, right? There's addiction, there's overcoming it, there's learning, there's rebuilding relationships in mine, right? And changing the positive outlook on life. Every time I tell people stories of like, dude, I could pound 30 beers, no problem. People are just like, I can't even imagine that. I can't even imagine that you could say that or do that. I'd be like, dude, I could pound 30 and be totally cool. And they're just like, that shocks me. Being like, yeah, man, I smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Like, what? You? Yeah. And, there was a big change that happened in my life, a big one. And that, it took place over a decade ago. And, just rebuilding relationships and where you go from, just being in just massive credit card debt, barely able to pay anything, on the brink of losing your house, back in the great financial crisis, to, thriving in life. And I think that's kind of part of the story. And that's, I, in the end, wanting it to be kind of humorous, like delivering it and, the craziness of my life. My life's not that crazy anymore, but my life was nuts, man. Stuff I'm not comfortable saying on the YouTube channel, and the wild stuff like in college and crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely want to one day, but it's definitely going to have to be a time where like I have the time to do it. Right now, my plate is so full. It would add stress, and I don't want that to be a stressful thing for me. I want that to be an incredibly enjoyable thing for me to put it together. So okay. Links, you quit everything 69 days ago. Well, hey man, cool. Rock on. Thank you, XRP Revolution. Mr. Nobody, good morning. Dash, CoinTrader Pro, multi-year wave count, log. I think you asked this yesterday, bro. I don't know. I don't know with Dash, man. It's weaker than the rest of the market. You're asking. your question is it going to go surging in an absolutely bazooka bull run when the market moves up? I don't know. It's weaker than a lot of stuff, man. It'd be nice if it does, but I don't know. We're going to have to see if privacy gains any steam in this market. Is the idea, like, this is kind of where we're literally at right now. I don't know if people realize this. In 2018 and 2019, it was the idea that we could use a lot of crypto as actual money. We're in 2023 and nobody is using crypto as money. No one. Yeah, but I mean, like, there's that one guy who tours around, what's the country, the volcano country, El Salvador, and he buys stuff from the banana shops. I'm talking about in 2018, 2019, there's like really like the, is this going to become real and we're going to use this stuff as money? Nobody's using Bitcoin as money, right? One dude who like dedicates his whole life to it does, but like the general population, mom and dad, right? Grandma, your sister, your step cousin that like he just lives in the woods and does. Nobody's using it as money. And we're at this point now here in 2023. If it's going to happen, right, there needs to start being some serious interest around it, and it not just be buy and hold, price go up money, because then it's not really money, right? My thoughts are, if we're going to have a cryptocurrency that is going to actually be legitimately used as money, there's going to have to be the privacy factor. You could just stalk people so easily when it's not private. So much stalking, and it's huge fuck. You got to have the privacy. So it's just whether or not this asset class is going to take off and it's going to be used for money anywhere. That's kind of where we're at. If it is, privacy matters, and then then we'll see. Does Dash have a shot? Right, George Alexanderopoulos says, thoughts on the possibility of complete B wave topping at 31.8. Looks like 5 waves up. We are starting our C wave down. Well, no, we talked about this, that if that this could be an expanded flat, right, or a running flat, right? Essentially, that you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C, right? And, right, because we've dissected this. This is crashing structure. This is full-blown crashing structure here to come to your conclusion. Or you can wave count it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? This is going to get loud. Hold on. I'm not logged in. Great. Okay. I'll have to do it another time. Let me see if I can find it for you. Running flat. Elliott Wave. The bad explanation, bad visuals. I want to show you the visuals. This might be it. Here we go. I think we got it. Find running flat. There you go. Right. So your B wave actually exceeds above the top of wave 5, and then you 5 wave down to the low again. Right. This is what your running flat is. Oh boy, where are we? I have too many tabs today. There we go. So we'll get these lines off the screen to kind of remove that. right? So 5 waves followed by a running flat correction. So I'm trying to, so you're saying your thoughts on the possibility of a complete B wave topping at 31.8, which would be that, right? And then it looks like 5 waves up. So you're talking about this right in here, right? So this is the complication of this right in here, right? Because we're supposed to see an ABC, right? But every time Bitcoin moves up, it's moving up in these straight lines, right? Hard to count even Elliott waves within here. We have pretty clear in here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kind of an ABC pullback, not really clear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't see it in here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe we got it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's wave 5, but not clear in here, right? So then it becomes all that stickler of, well, what if it's like A, B, C? A, B, C. Maybe. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd get that stickler on that. It's because you could be like, hey, look, you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave A. And this the tiny, tiny, tiny wave B. That would be bizarre. But yeah. So I don't know if you'd say. Are you saying? Trying to. Your thoughts on the possibility of a complete B wave topping at 31.8, and it looks like 5 waves up. And we were starting our C wave down. So I think you're actually talking about something different, and I'm not following you. Are you referring to? Oh, are you saying like this? ABC? So you have to go through the historical behavior of Bitcoin, right? Would that be consistent with Bitcoin's behavior historically to go do that, right? That's like the wet dream of 12Kers, right? ABC, it's going to go to 12K. They're going to buy it. The Fed's going to interject, and they are immediately going to go to the moon. And they're like the biggest geniuses in the world because some dude on YouTube told them it was going to happen. No time in history do you have something like that occurring where this much time elapses and you haven't started recovery, right? So structurally, to make any sense out of us going any lower from right here, all of our examples have us going below the base of 2018. That go find a time where we go and we haven't already formed our bottom in here. The bottom has to have already been formed for Bitcoin. It has to already be in recovery. We have to go through the wall of worry to climb our way up. And that's what always happens in recoveries is the wall of worry, right? Nobody doubts it. Everyone screams 12K. The second the price shifts down a little bit, they scream for 12K as they scream for 12K at the lows. They have been screaming for 12K for a year and a half and haven't gotten it yet, right? And so every time we see a shift in price, they call for it again. Then they go silent and they send Ben.eth money on Ethereum, right? Then they YOLO because they missed everything. They have to YOLO into Ben.eth. Sorry, I prayed it. I hope somebody like rattles themselves if they are the 12K and they sent money to Ben.eth. Like, you don't realize how emotional you are, right? Shake, wake up. All right. But if we break from here, just structurally, you not in recovery, weakest B leg, right? Like, how often do you like find in any examples where you're like A, B, and then C keeps going, and you only have B come back that far? I mean, it's sad. I mean, to understand 2018, here's 2018. Boom. This is what the sad picture of 2023 is, which has to say either Bitcoin is dead or it's doing a completely normal recovery process currently right now. And the price behavior mimics that of a completed crash and a completed recovery, and things are okay so far. But I don't think this could be the top of a B. Like a B in the sense of like ABC, and then there's your completion, and then here comes the start of a new bull run. I think if that is our top, that's because Bitcoin is like, if we go take out these lows and you get a very clear breakthrough here and you start seeing $20,000, which in the chat, there's a lot of people who call for that. There's a lot of people who call for $20,000 and $21,000 and $23,000. That I do believe you have started the death spiral of Bitcoin. No, it can't. It's sound money. But it can go to 12K? Well, yeah. Okay. At what point does that narrative break? It sounds permissionless money. It can't go to 2K, but it can go to 12. All right. And then, of course, you conclude it by saying, please screw the Twitter haters. You're honest in all your posts. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. No, it's a bizarre position where I don't know if it's mental illness. I don't know if it's drug addiction. There are people who are legit massively obsessed with me. And it is sometimes scary how obsessed people are. It's a little weird. And not in a good obsessed. not in Oscar Hernandez style. It's the ones where people have dedicated their lives to it. It's scary. I wear BCB pajamas. Yeah. Well, did you buy your lady BCB pants? Like, I make my lady wear BCB pants. See, that's the good kind of obsessed. We'll need pictures of that. Please send me a 4x4 inch for piece of your skin for my collection. Tickets are half off up at a night. Oh yes, that's right. I do need to mention, ladies and gentlemen, Taylor Swift Eras Tour coming to a theater near you, I believe today. So, make sure you book back-to-back showings. You're going to need to watch it twice. Have a great weekend. BCP, can I buy some strands of hair from you? All right, I got to move on. Thank you, George. I hope I answered you, brother. Just kind of my thoughts. I don't... If this is a B, if this is our peak, which of course is possible, right? If we take out the low, that's probably it. If we go break through the low, that's probably it. You got a lot of people who are incorrectly concluding this is 2019. It's so not 2019 at all. And that we can just kind of keep grinding like this and doing these things, and then there's some massive sell and the Fed comes and saves us like we did in 2019. Like, we're going to repeat history that in the same way of C19 that time. We're not. This structure is, of course, significantly different from 2019. If we go take this low out, anybody's guess on where it goes, the conclusion I can make is just the one I've pointed to for years. Sometimes when and that's the cool thing about like having things like so far, like when you theorize about things so far in advance, when you get caught up in the moment, sometimes the noise is really loud. The narrative has changed, the noise is really loud, but the chart is somehow following along with the original idea. But, all your thoughts are in shambles and everything's crazy. The behavior that we've seen so far for Bitcoin, with how deep it fell, right? This location down in here has so far mimicked what we talked about in 2021, which would be, with Ethereum, pulling back down to this level, a bounce up, rolling over, and then continuing the roll all the way down. So far, it is still mimicking that, but it's also mimicking 2016. And really, this range dictates which one's happening here, right? If this range breaks to the upside, 2016 is still intact. If we break to the downside, it's screaming to me major, major, major long-term problems for Bitcoin. In that, if we take that out and you have a break and you see $22,000, $20,000, that it's because Bitcoin is super weak. There's been no recoveries that we can go back to say that's okay. Of course, I've shown a ton of this in here. There's no recoveries to go back to and to say, hey, we could spend 9 to 10 months in a range, break out of it, and then just go break back down in it and be okay. And that's not what happened in 2019, right? Anybody who thinks this is what's coming, that, we're going to set this little low and hit 23K, and then we're going to grind up and then crash, and the Fed's going to save us. This was what was going on in here, right? This range was broken away and never back tested. And that the C19 happened to be the perfect back test for it. Like magical unicorn fairy dust and puppet masters pulled the puppet strings. Not only that, how many of you do believe puppet masters were pulling the puppet strings with C19, right? So, for something like this, these are range breakout back tests, consolidations, and moves upward. That's how all of these have happened in here. To break back down into a range, to go lower, for Bitcoin, for us to break back down into here after clearly escaping this range and then consolidating for over almost 210 days. This thing has to keep marching up. And if it does break downward, it would indicate this was more of a distribution and that it's big time trouble for Bitcoin. But no evidence for that as of yet. As of right now, still, it's totally fine. It's completely fine. The alarms just get sounded big time, breaking below 24.7. And we're not sounding them for saying, oh, it looks like the 12Kers were right. It's actually that the 12Kers are going to buy 12K and they're going to hold it all the way down to 3K. That type of alarm. So, okay, we'll move on. I spent a lot of time there. And I'm already an hour in. I'm way too behind. Okay, Carlos De Paz, I'd like you to consider me. Oh, I jumped ahead to that one. Thank you, guys. Thank you, George, and thanks, Carlos. Joshua T. Moon, member for 1 month. Let's go. And with the strong boom, rocket Moon. Thank you. Welcome, Joshua. Oscar Hernandez's favorite waitress says, a tip for BCB. You're going to need it when CZ sends Bitcoin to 12K and then to 100K out of spite. Can't believe you got busted. No matter. Legend status solidified. Yep. On the radar of CZ. Pretty much can't post on Twitter anymore without CZ Binance seeing it. So it's okay. I don't even really like Twitter, man. I don't even really like using it. It's full of scammers. It's full of stalkers. It's full of crazy stuff. Occasionally I post on it, but it does nothing but get trash. So I like browsing Twitter. I like browsing it. I don't really like posting on it. This gives more people to steal stuff to steal too. All right. Oscar Hernandez, where do shrimp have their heart? See, I heard that. I heard that this morning when you were there with XRP, the Standard Productions guys. I heard that question get asked to Blockchain Trucker. And the answer is in their head. Philip Mann gifted a BCB membership. Thank you, Philip. Chris Perez says, could Ethereum FNDTN selling mean spring is coming? FNDTN selling means spring is coming. I don't know what FNDTN selling. F Foundation. Ethereum Foundation. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how to interpret that. To say, oh, the Ethereum Foundation sold some, so that gives us a quantitative, measurable thing to look at. I don't know. You know what I mean? You could speculate, and one person will be right? Blockchain Lurker Gifted 5 BCB memberships. Blockchain Lurker, Ryan, my man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And the people who got their name. Yeah, Alpha Beta Soup says, which is TXMC on Twitter, says, I've cut way back on how much I share on Twitter because it does just get stolen. And I don't gain much value from the experience. Right. And it's because everybody's got an Anon account, right? And you can make 100 of them and do whatever. So it just becomes like a cesspool of toxicity. And again, 99% of people aren't like that on Twitter. 99% are, but they're just the one loud percent, right? But thank you, Blockchain Lurker. Ben Davenport says, I'm going to see T Swift movie with my fiance tonight. What do you think's better? Going to watch it in a theater? Or like I never told you guys that I did? Going and watching it in section A, third row. I did, man. That was a good time. That was a good time. Andy Philpott gifted one. Alphabet Soup says BCB is legit Swifty. He celebrates her entire catalog. Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. That's tiring though, man. Trying to get out of the parking lot after that thing. Holy cow. Baby Oscar Hernandez, Goo Gaga, amigo. If XRP no go up, how long hodl? Forever, I guess. Chief XRP says, hey, BCB, we going to 12K? Oh, look, Ben Davenport says, I'm trying to get my fiance to watch just for the T Swift talks. Look, here's the deal, man. All right. If you're a hater, all you got to do is just watch the... Here's what got me kind of like, she's not so bad, right? I mean, I get it. Like, not my mid-20s, like, jamming Swift. What made me say this chick's got it going on, and her game is on point, was the Reputation Stadium Tour special on Netflix. So if you want to get a taste of probably, without having to go to the theater, right, and watch this Eras Tour thing, if you want to get a taste of what probably it's going to be like in the movie theater and to get an idea of what her concerts are like, it's right there on Netflix, the Taylor Swift Reputation Stadium Tour. Watch that. At the end of that, you can decide, I get it. She's got game. She does. She's a pro. Whether you hate her or not, that chick sold out 3 Super Bowl stadiums every weekend. Super Bowls. And that's crazy. Brave Sigma, BCB, when the Fed pauses, won't this cost money from the bonds to flow into stocks? Can you see a scenario where the Fed pauses and we're still bearish? Well, you just go through the history of it, right? Like, look at the stock market. Here we go. So no major change in price action here on this pause, right? Here we are. We can use a different index too. This is like more dramatic. The NASDAQ was really dramatic, wasn't it? There you go. Fed's raising into the rise, pauses into the retrace, right? And then everything falls apart, and then they start cutting, right? For everybody who's been like, wait, don't do anything till the Fed starts cutting, then you start buying. No. It's once it, like almost at zero is where the buy kind of happened, but you could see they're just going to gradually keep cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting, and everything just keeps falling apart. And finally they cut more, and then finally the bottom comes in. You can see here's the pause right here, right? Pauses. We slowly continue grinding up in here. Even after the first cut, there was even somewhat of a still move up that happens in here. But the cutting is expressing problems happening in the markets already. We are cutting way down. Prices are still here. We're cutting way down. Why? Because everything's hitting the fan. We're going into the great financial crisis. What happens here? Here's a pause, right? So we're rising. Market pulls back. They say, oh, wait, we're going to chill out for a second. Market recovers. They start cutting. There becomes one more push. And then boom, it does fall apart, right? And it wasn't as dramatic over here in the NASDAQ as it was elsewhere. So your question is, when they pause, you see a scenario where we pause, the Fed pauses, and we're still bearish. To try to be a Fed interpreter, I can't do it outside of just saying that when pauses have happened, markets tend to still kind of keep themselves okay. And what we do see happening, like here in 2000, so 23 years ago, we paused, and the market did bounce in here. But then it rolled over after a retrace and crumbled on down. Like looking at the NASDAQ right now, like it's doing better than that, right? Like this was probably like a 618 or 702, right? A little bit over 618, and then rolls over and tumbles its way down. We've definitely gotten higher here currently, but I don't find it that like what you don't see in here, right? So what I don't see in here is like pause turns us into a bull market, right? For anybody looking for that to be the case. And cutting does not turn us into a bull market. What typically happens is we go into a bull market and then they're raising rates into the bull market, right? Instead, this time, they didn't start raising rates till after this peak had already happened, right? But pauses and the cuts are definitely, I mean, you can sometimes have a little bit of a push up after the first cut or two, but then everything kind of seems to hit the fan. But I don't think we'll be able to interpret it as being any type of like, hey, the Fed has now paused for the third out of the last 4 times. That means we're mega bull market now. Or if the Fed cuts, that means we're mega bull market now. I don't think we'll be able to derive either of those pieces of information from that behavior at all. And the cut, and there's inconsistencies of what happens with the cut. Like when the bubble did pop back here in 2000, right? So I don't think so. I think people have made themselves out to be Fed experts on Twitter, and I don't think they've even just looked at how stocks have reacted to interest rate hikes historically. Especially what we saw in 2022 was just ridiculous. And I want to use the other R word. It'll be bullish when they start cutting. No, it's always bad. It's always bad. Maybe you get a last little pop, and that's where you just exit everything like crazy. But it's never turned us into a bull market when the Fed starts cutting ever. Like last 20 something years, right? So I'm Brave Sigma. I don't think I can't give you a solid answer on that, but I would say no. I don't think we've already had 2 pauses. Have you seen anything crazy happen yet? I haven't seen anything crazy happen yet. I did see the markets pop up a little bit on that first pause, but nothing really as of yet. And I don't think a third pause is going to, unless they communicate it, right? Because when they do these pauses, they keep telling us, we could do more, and we're gonna keep it high for forever, right? If they change their wording and if the market believes it, if they're like, hey, look, we're done hiking, and probably won't keep it up here for forever. We'll probably start bringing it down at some point, but it looks like we got things under control. Everything is looking good. Market might rally on that, but be short lived till they actually start cutting, and that's because everything's hitting the fan. Michael likes. Member for 3 months. How are money markets any good when inflation is so high? 3.5% inflation with a 5% money market. Well, if stock market go down, so in 2022, how was Bitcoin any good for inflation? Right? All the people who bought Bitcoin anywhere from March to now, how has Bitcoin been your store of value? One, has it even been a store of value? And two, how has it been a fight against inflation? That whole thought process failed, right? Because it's not a hedge against inflation. Even if it was, right, what does an inflationary hedge, right? It just literally stores your value. If inflation goes up by 10%, then the value of the asset should go up by 10%, not 2,000%. That's not inflation adjusted. That's bubble. So if you're beating inflation and if you're in a risky environment, money markets can be very appealing. In an environment where stocks have been very washy, very uncertain, you find a lot of people willing to do money markets. A lot. JB Equipment Services says, member for 5 months, thanks, man, says, where's a spicy backer? I don't know. Is he here? When was this done? Oh, this message is 40 minutes ago. I think he's already arrived. Carlos De Paz, I follow up with a DM on Twitter. Thanks, PCB. All right, thanks, man. Sebastian Downs, member for 1 month. PCB, my sister Abby's 21st birthday is today. Can you give her a happy birthday? Thanks for sharing all your knowledge with us. You're the greatest. Of course. Happy birthday, Abby, from the blockchain backer. I hope you have a wonderful day. You're 21. Be responsible. Don't get in any trouble. But, celebrate it. You made it. Congrats. Happy birthday. Jaxer, member for 4 months. I'm a dingus, but even I hit the like button. Thank you, Jaxer. This thing has run long. I'm at 1 hour and 17 minutes. I do got to get through this thing. Mark Schneider says, hey, BCB, thank you for everything. I've been here since 22.5 cents, the good old days. Man, and so that was a 90-day range, by the way, everybody. For those people who went through that, it was like, oh, no, don't remind me of that. That was 90 days, 200 right here. The emotional log is not looking good. Well, good. Hope things get going. Give us some Friday fluff. Okay, yeah. I gave my brother-in-law about 150 fish out of my fish tank because it's gotten too overwhelming. But my fish are doing well. I've now reduced the population a little bit because he also has a 50-plus gallon tank. And I went ahead and gave him 150 fish or so. And the snare. Everybody's always asking about the snare. I have filed the claim. I've got the shipping label. We're all ready to go. It's just got to get handed to UPS. Gator coming out swinging, man. Thank you, brother. But yeah, otherwise Friday fluff, yeah, that's pretty much it, Thank you, Mark. It was generous. Thank you. George Alexanderopoulos says, C wave down to 6K measured from wave. Also, first time in Bitcoin history, US stock bear, no 12K. Yeah. I mean, exactly. So that's possible. And I think lower than 6K, if that's the true play, right? If the stock market's going big time down, tech bubble popping, Dow falling big, that it is not 12K and it is not 6K and it's below the 2018 low. It will be a ghost town here. Ghost town. Steven Edinburgh said, did CZ not point out the typo on your Bitcoin? They did not. You had a chance right there, Steven, that you could have been the one. But thank you, brother. 6 months, man. Exceed says, what's up, BCB? Based on the chart looks, do you think Gala and VeChain will only retrace or could it go higher or is it dead? Thanks for everything, bro. It's the whole market looks like that. I don't think you're going to interpret anything from any particular altcoins currently right now. The big, like, oh, is this one dead because it's doing this? Yeah, it's probably not going to get big retracements. But and VeChain, remember VeChain, like I've gone through, like in the course on bcbacker.com, there is a case study section in there going through all the different coins of the top 30 to see what ended up running. And Bitcoin wasn't one of your top performers in there. Or it didn't even make it into the list of like 6 that were like your big ones, right? Your big ones were BNB, Ethereum, Cardano, Chainlink, VeChain, and Dogecoin. And technically speaking, even Ethereum Classic. So you kind of had like 7 out of the top 30 that really went. But VeChain was one of the ones that was like a 40,000 percenter or something like that. Something crazy, I think. And when you run like that, you end up seeing those 95 to 98% corrections happening in there. So one, I don't even look at VeChain, VeChain USD, right? Do Binance. And it's not even bad. Maybe it is. I don't know. You never know until you put the percentages down on it. Yeah, 95%. Totally normal. If you go do 19,308%, it's totally normal for it to happen. But what does happen? It moves with the whole market, right? So are you seeing anything independently happening with VeChain outside of the whole market? No. But that's just what happens, right? If they're still building, if they're still doing stuff, if they're still growing, you know, that kind of gives you some insights to moving forward. But what we see is when things get kind of abandoned, when the flow of capital returns back to markets, the ones that really have been abandoned, the capital does a better job allocating, not reallocating back to those ones that aren't really doing anything. And I know nothing about VeChain on whether it's active or not active at this point right now. This would be something for you guys. I know a lot of people in the XRP community do this one. I don't do it, but there's a lot of people who do. And then Gala's taking a beating too, right? Again, I don't know this coin. I don't know nothing about it. 98%. What a beating, right? It's like either it's like your next Cardanzo. It's like your 2018 Cardanzo, because that's really what happened to Cardano, and people don't really know that. To get a baseline understanding of what we have gone through in this market before, when you see these percentages and understand. This is crypto. You came here for 10,000% gains, but you didn't expect 98% falls. You get them. There you go, Gala. What do you got? You got a 98% loss. So is it dead? Hopefully it's not. I don't know anything about it. But for your sake, if it's one of your favorites, hopefully not. I don't know. I literally know nothing about it. So Yeah, we're either at like those things like showed on, right? Like if this is accurate, like we showed it on here. What else did we show it on? And I can't remember if I did this on this live stream or if I did this for the members live stream. Dang, did I delete it off here? Why would I do that? Ah, it's gone. Okay. Wait. Let's go. There you go. You know, we're either at like the best time ever, right? Like this, right? This is 2018's Ethereum Classic, right? This is the percentage drawdown. Look at this freaking run. This thing is nuts. The percentages are literally exact. The correction is exact. The timing, it's insane. We're either at like ultimate buy zone or dead. and I see no signals of dead. 24.7 crack breaking down Doomtown for Bitcoin. Then we might have some things to worry about. Otherwise, this is precisely how things went and how deep we went. They're the exact same percentages, both to the upside and to the downside. And you know, the original talk was like, you know, we've seen this happen with Cardano before, and everybody's going to have their own kind of unique, different corrections happening in here. But this one was quite interesting to me. But I don't think interpreting how one coin's correction is happening versus another one's is in deciding if it's dead or not, unless if you're playing with stuff like way out of the top 50, right? If you're playing with stuff in like rank, I don't even know what Gala is. Like, did I just show some like number 600 coin on the chart? If so, then yeah, it's probably dead. Gala Games, right? Isn't it Gala Games? Isn't that what it is? I can't remember. What rank is it? I don't like how trading or coin market cap does it now to figure out what the rank is. All right, I'm just going to type it here and see if I find it. Gala, number 90, right? So, I don't know. I don't look at it very often to know. I'd have to look at it more. Either way, I don't think just how deep it's gone is the indication of the deadness or not. You need to look at your tokenomics. Are they pumping out 500% supply annually, right? All that stuff kind of matters. So you need to look at that stuff too. All right, keep going. Mohammed, Kakat, what are your thoughts on projects that are promoting I don't want to name these projects because I don't know what they are. What are your thoughts on these projects that are promoting RWA? I don't know. I don't know anything about it, man. Wrong person to ask. Ask somebody else. I don't know what any of that is. But thank you, brother. Gator, again, man, thank you very much. You gifted 5. Mohammed, again, please, your thoughts. And then you did it again. I don't know, man. I don't want to name these coins. Because now you got other new coins. And that one's number 100. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. You know what I want to say, guys, though? You guys have gotten a lot better on donating and asking for low cap coin coverage. Maybe it's because I've denied you. I'm like, no. You're like, well, okay, no, fine. All right. Oh, ALBT was hacked. Okay, there you go. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I don't know anything about that stuff. You have to go find someone who pays attention to those particular ones. They're ones I don't. There's thousands of coins, thousands and hundreds upon hundreds. And on the channel, we really kind of focus on the macro view of crypto, looking at really kind of the things that are like the top 20, top 30, mostly, right? To have an idea of how the market in general is doing. There's plenty of guys out there who have low cap 100x gem coins that they've gone ahead and gotten themselves into that they'll tell you about, and then they'll dump that on you when you buy it. But not here. We don't do that. I'm not saying that's what that is, but okay. I think we're done. Hit the like button, guys. I appreciate it very much. Thank you guys very much in the chat for always reminding me, and on the super chats and the support of the channel, you guys. I hope I didn't miss anybody today. This one ran a little bit longer than usual. I didn't expect it to, but man, I always appreciate you guys. Hopefully, we can end up having a pretty decent conclusion to this week, or at least heading into the weekend, we have a decent weekend to kick it off. News-wise, not a whole lot going on out there. Stock market looks like it's taken back a lot of those early gains there that have happened there. Crypto's kind of pulling back a little bit as well. But we'll check in on it again next week. Gator said, thank you for all you do, BCB. Gator, I appreciate the support, man. Thank you very much. You're too kind, man. And Anthony Trujillo says, hit the like button for puppies and Wen Moon. Thank you, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Of course, if you are looking for something to do throughout the weekend, check out bcbacker.com. Otherwise, guys, I'll check in with you again later. Again, there's not going to be a Markets in the Morning on Monday, but I will check in with you guys later in the day. But there won't be a Markets in the Morning on Monday. I got some stuff going on. But all right, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your continued support and being here. Sick Thinker gifted 5 BCB memberships, my man. Thank you very much. And thank you all the people in the chat who just got your name turned green by these very generous community members. Give them a thanks, guys. All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.